From News 7 KWWL, this is We Fight for Iowans, a fundraiser for the United Way's COVID-19 Care Fund.
And good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for a KWWL special report as we continue to fight for Iowans. I'm Abby Turpin.
And I'm Ron Steele. Yes, as Abby mentioned, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. A very special event. It's really a day-long day of giving on behalf of the United Way.
Over the next half hour, we will be asking you to join us in this fight by donating your dollars to our cause. Now, we have some special guests joining us and also a few examples of the many ways the United Way fights for Iowans and why it is so important to donate right now. And with that, we'll go ahead and send things to Ron, who is with our first guest.
That's right, Abby. In fact, I'm with Brian Ernest, who is the president and CEO of a well-known company here, Amperage, the marketing and fundraising company. But he's also, more importantly tonight, Brian, you are the co-chair of the entire United Way campaign for this year, along with Amy Wienans. This is really important, isn't it, particularly during the pandemic?
It certainly is, Bob. This is a really important day across eastern Iowa for this is a time in our community that it's really tough out there. And, you know, United Way coming together with KWWL today to really just come together to benefit Iowans. I'm so excited about the campaign and partnering with Amy. You know, both of us are local kids who grew up here, went to school here, raised families, and now building businesses here. And we know it's time to give back to our community, work together to do some good things.
And Brian, you know, the focus areas are education, health, and financial stability, and that's more important now perhaps than ever before.
Yeah, it certainly is, Ron. You know, there is so much need in our community. You know, right now there's so much focus on COVID-19, but you know, so many of our organizations in our communities have other needs too. Their missions haven't changed and they need our help. And so now is the time for all of us to rally together as a community.
All right, Brian Ernest, thank you very much. Co-chair this year of the Cedar Valley United Way campaign, along with Amy Wienans. I know what you're going through. I was there a few years ago myself as a co-chair with Dave Brayton, the former publisher of the Courier. So it's a great job. You'll do a fantastic job. Let's go back to Abby right now.
Ron, thank you very much. Now, one of the many programs funded by the United Way is Iowa Legal Aid. It provides legal services to low-income families, more and more of whom are qualifying for civil and legal service right now due to the coronavirus pandemic. KWWL's Vinnie Lowry reports.
Key that we are able to provide them civil legal assistance for free and quality.
Employment, unemployment, and rent are the most common concerns during the pandemic. Managing attorney Michelle Jungers says jobless cases are at an all-time high.
We've had more unemployment cases with my attorneys than I think since I've become a manager, and that was, you know, in 4 years' time.
The pandemic led to a bombardment of unemployment filings. While Iowa Legal Aid doesn't give out money or benefits, Jungers' staff does help with the aftermath.
We're helping them with the fallout of all the other, you know, now I don't have any income. How is that affecting all these other areas of my life? You know, I can't now pay my rent, so what's going to happen?
Governor Reynolds put in place a ban on evictions from March until May. That ban is over, but federally connected properties are protected under the CARES Act. Eviction hearings will begin in July.
Just in Blackhawk County, there are well over 100 pending evictions right now, and those are set to be heard sometime in July. And obviously new filings are happening every day.
Overall, the Iowa Legal Aid Office is seeing more people needing their help, especially when the CARES Act expires.
I foresee our numbers increasing rapidly after July when they're not getting that extra money anymore and there aren't jobs.
In Waterloo, Vinnie Lowry, News 7 KWWL.
Now, when someone calls the COVID-19 hotline, they are put in touch with an attorney near them. Well, here are some facts about the Cedar Valley United Way. They have more than $1.6 million invested in community partners for this year and next. They delivered nearly 2,500 books through their Books for Babies program last year, and more than 5,400 children received literacy support. Now remember, there are 5 United Way chapters in our area, and each of them needs your help. Just go to our website, kwwl.com, and click on the We Fight for Iowans banners to donate, or you can text We Fight to 91999. Also, if you're unable to access a computer or a phone, just mail a check. That is completely welcome as well. Well, our next guest comes to us from the United Way of Johnson and Washington counties. We'll send it now to Chief Meteorologist Mark Schnackenberg.
Thanks, Abby. Here with me is Katie Knight. She's the president and CEO of the United Way of Johnson and Washington counties, and probably a familiar face for some people down there because you've been doing it for quite a while, 35 years now.
Been in 6 United Ways, 35 years, and proud to be with United Way.
So with COVID-19, has this been one of the worst years that you've seen or most needed for the United Way?
Oh, absolutely. It's a pandemic that affects everyone, and those that can donate and give are generous, and we appreciate it, but there are so many more right now that are in need. I mean, it's across the world. So.
And that's a lot of people are penny pinching themselves, their own budgets. Where does the money go? So if they donate to the United Way for your area, where does the money go? How does it get used?
So we specifically give to individuals for rent, medical help, and household supplies, and we give directly to the vendor, so to the landlord. It doesn't go to the individual, but those are the things that we are finding people need the most help with.
Now that's gone up over the last couple of months now. Right. Have you seen it worse in other parts of the area compared to in eastern Iowa, compared to where you are?
Well, housing is always a big deal for our area, and of course we're going to have 32,000 students coming back here in a very short period of time, which will even put more strain on the housing and potential evictions. But we hope to connect people to the resources they need and give them at least 1 month rent.
Okay. Thank you very much. Katie Knight, President and CEO of United Way of Johnson and Washington counties. We'll send it back up to the studio with Ron and Abby.
Mark, thank you very much. Thank you, Katie, for making the trip up here tonight. You know, masks have been so important. Masks are just all over the place, and face coverings since the beginning of the pandemic. Now, when disposable masks were in short supply, the call went out then to make reusable cloth masks.
KWWL's Colin Dorsey spoke with an Iowa City woman who has been making masks for the United Way's Mask Up initiative.
Sewing machines have been dusted off and are working overtime as people, experienced or not, try their hand at making masks.
So I sewed a tiny bit when I was a child in 4-H, and then I sewed my daughter a Halloween costume probably about 12 to 15 years ago, and that's about it.
Leslie Carpenter says she might not be the fastest with a sewing machine, but she knew she had to do something, so she started making masks on her own.
Then the United Way, when they posted that they were doing this project, I thought it was a perfect example of what they do, because I've given to United Way for a lot of years, but I didn't really understand how they work.
That's how she got into the Mask Up initiative for the United Way of Johnson and Washington counties.
They provided cutout material and the pattern to follow and the elastic, so all you had to do was supply the sewing and the thread. So it was very easy and much faster, actually, to go ahead and do that.
With the kits, she can make a mask in about 10 minutes. Since she retired several years ago, she's been an advocate for the local National Alliance on Mental Illness chapter, a partner agency with United Way.
But the nice thing about making masks is it's tangible and it's quick. You can see the results of your efforts very quickly, whereas most of the advocacy work I do takes a long time. It takes a long time to fix the mental illness treatment system.
This way, she says, she's not only helping those who need the masks, but it's also a calming way to step back from the taxing work of advocating for change in the state's mental health system. In Iowa City, Colin Dorsey, News 7, KWWL.
All right, Colin, thank you very much. Great report there. The United Way of Johnson and Washington counties also still very much in need of volunteers to help make even more masks.
And if you would rather donate instead, you can determine which chapter will get your gift. Don't forget, every dollar counts. Some figures now, more than $2.1 million was raised in community funds for the United Way of Johnson and Washington counties last year. More than 15,000 people received supplemental food in 2019. 1,900 received no-cost medical care, and nearly 5,200 children's books were handed out through those counties last year.
As we go to break right now, a reminder how you can donate to the United Ways in your area as we continue to fight for Iowans on this day of giving. Go to KWWL.com and click on the We Fight for Iowans tab. You can also make a text message, We Fight, to 91999. You can also do that and then make sure your donation goes to the United Way in your specific region.
I'm here with University of Iowa Athletics Director Gary Barda as we continue to fight for Iowans on this day for the United Way. And Gary, I found it interesting. You have a long-term relationship with the United Way as a supporter and then as a leader on a board locally.
Yeah, I've been on the Washington County Board of Directors for United Way for many years. Just finished up my chairmanship, and it goes way back to my time at UNI. I was on the fund drives for United Way back in the late 80s and early 90s, raising money, and really that's when I learned about the United Way and what an important organization it is.
And what did you learn at that time that's carried forth your strong support in the future?
Well, I've just watched it firsthand, whether it's a disaster like a tornado or a flood, whether it's a daily need of feeding the hungry, whatever it is, I've just seen time and time again the United Way rise to the occasion. I remember in 2008 when we had the flood in Iowa City, United Way stepped up and created the volunteer hotline and helped out all the people who lost their homes. And so I've seen United Way up front and personal help out the communities in which I've lived.
Well, how would you, a lot of people out there are hurting, but those that aren't hurting quite as bad, what would you say to them about giving?
Well, first of all, I know Iowans are very, very generous. I know that also firsthand. And I would just share my experience. United Way is a safe place. They take good care of your money. It gets to the people that you want it to get to. And so just ask people to dig down and do what Iowans do, and that's share, give. And I'm comfortable the United Way will take that money and make sure it gets where it needs to go.
All right, Gary, Barda, we thank you very much for joining us on this very important day as we fight for Iowans.
Well, thanks, Rick, and thank you and KWWL for stepping up and sponsoring this important day.
And welcome back to our special report here. We're teaming up, KWWL and the United Way, fighting for Iowans on this special day of giving. Let's send it down to Abby right now, live with our next guest.
All right, Ron, thanks so much. Joining me right now is Tom Blandford, Commercial Banking Manager at Collins Community Credit Union. Tom, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So tell us, how do you and your employees give to the United Way?
Sure. So United Way is a very important cause for me and my staff, whether it's through donating or volunteering or serving on a committee or on a board. We just try to give back to United Way in any way that we can. It's such an important organization to our community.
Absolutely. And one thing that we've talked about is that every penny counts. And I know that's a phrase that a lot of organizations say many times, but that really is the case for the United Way. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. Well, as the treasurer of United Way, we try to keep track of those pennies very closely, but United Way is a very efficient organization. We work to maximize every dollar. I think people would be just shocked to know how many programs we contribute to and how many people we help in a given year.
Absolutely. Okay, so if somebody out there is on the fence right now about donating, what can you say to them this evening that can give them that extra push?
Sure. I think United Way is a perfect example of our community coming together. People from all walks of life donate to United Way, volunteer for United Way, and people from all walks of life are impacted by United Way. So I think you know someone for sure that's been impacted, and in some way it's affected your life, so we would encourage you to help pay that forward and help a member of your community.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Tom Blandford from Collins Community Credit Union, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Abby.
And we'll now send it back to Ron.
Abby and Tom, hey, thank you so much. You know, when it comes to doing your income taxes, I think it's safe to say everyone can benefit from a little advice or a little help, but of course not everyone can afford a professional tax service or a tax advisor. Lynn and Jones County residents, though, can get that professional help through Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. It's a program known as VITA. KWW reporter Ashley Neighbor reports on this very special United Way program.
In 2018, the VITA program helped Lynn County residents get more than $3 million in tax refunds. The program coordinator tells me for clients who qualify by making less than $54,000 a year, that can be a big financial impact.
Where clients come in, they drop off their taxes with us, and it takes about 15 minutes, and then they come back in about a week or two and pick them up. And we have preparers who work on those taxes at home.
United Way's VITA program holding one of the first drop-off clinics after getting derailed by COVID-19.
We have almost 600 people who we had to cancel on. And so it's a big number. And so this summer we wanted to come back because the tax deadline for the federal government is extended until July 15th. and for this state, it's July 31st.
One of those using the services this year is Lily Lau, who says she transferred here to get that professional review.
I'm using that more than 7 years already.
What separates their services, Hirschner says, is the attention to tax credits for people and families considered low income or who earned less than $50,000, such as the Earned Income Credit.
So if you have a single mother who has 2 or 3 children, and she's making $24,000 a year, she may be getting back $5,000 with those credits. And that is a significant amount of money for her and helps her be more stable for the rest of the year.
In 2018, earned income credits amounted to more than $1 million for Linn County clients and $60,000 for Jones. Lau says the convenience is also a plus.
When you start to coming here, you already have your information is in this system. So I rather to trust here. And the people here are very nice.
This program is sponsored by the IRS. Hirschner tells me all documents are quality reviewed by 2 preparers. To make an appointment, simply call 211 and ask about United Way's VITA. Reporting in Linn County, Ashley Neighbor, News 7 KWWL.
Ashley, thanks so much. And by the way, get this, last year, VITA volunteers dedicated more than 5,000 hours preparing more than 2,000 federal tax returns for the clients. Last year, the United Way of East Central Iowa investing more than $6.2 million in the community from more than 12,000 area donors. Volunteers completed nearly 54,000 hours of work, impacting more than 50,000 local residents in just the last year. Well, here's how to donate, Abby, right there on your screen.
Absolutely. All you have to do is go to our website, KWWL.com, and click on the We Fight for Iowans banners, and then text We Fight to 91999. You can donate to the United Way exactly in your area, don't forget.
Well, right now, let's send it back over to KWWL Sports Director Rick Coleman. He's live with another very special guest here tonight. Rick.
Yes, I certainly do have a special guest, the one and only, the legendary Dan Gable is joining us live now. I think you're in Iowa City at a softball or baseball game, Dan, but right now we're going to talk to you about the United Way and how important it is to give. And how important is it to you, Dan?
Well, let me tell you, in my life, this kid was hard to handle. I'm talking about right at the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so they went for some help. And that help was another organization, was the YMCA, very similar to what the United Way is, looking out for the community, looking out for the health and education. And so my dad and mom knew that they needed a little help, and they went to an organization, and I'll tell you what, I did pretty well, but I have to give a lot of credit for my parents knowing that, they had to send me out a little bit, and they had to have some other people working with me, and the fact that they were smart enough to realize that outside organizations can do a lot for people. The bottom line is my parents were good people, and they took good care of me. They just needed a little bit extra help, and I kind of look at it that way. And then the same thing I kind of look at it with when you get kids and they continue to go wherever they go. I mean, parents are a real key in life. And I right now I got 13 grandkids, and you know what? I'm still looking out for them. I'm at a game right now with my oldest one. It's that responsibility that people take that makes a big difference. But it's always great to be able to have help, and United Way is a great way. It's been, I don't know how long it's been there. I mean, if you know more about it than me, but I've been around for a long time, and I've always heard of United Way and all the good things that they've done. And just like the YMCA, what it did for me, I'm just a backer. And right now, in the world, the way things are going, I think that we have to use what's available out there. YMCA, United Way, you got scouting, you got things that can help. But the number one thing is the parents have to realize that there is something out there that can help, and hopefully enough parents have contributed to an organization like the United Way to be able to develop and help people like me, a kid that probably shouldn't have won the Olympic Games by natural talent, but because of opportunities, I dominated the Olympic Games. So, and that goes with a lot of outside help away from the home, but the home is where it started.
Dan Gable, that's why you're the greatest. You motivate parents, you motivate people, sir. Thanks a lot for joining us on this day of giving for the United Way.
Rick, I love you, guy. I've been with you a long time,
I know you
and you motivate. I'm here. You get me fired up.
All right, Coach. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. You betcha.
All right. Okay, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to our special report as KWWL and the United Way team up to help fight for Iowans. We'll send things now to Ron.
Abby, thank you very much. Sheila Barrett is the president of the Cedar Valley United Way. She joins us here live. Thanks for coming in, Sheila.
Absolutely, and I have to be the one that says it out loud and very proud that we are so very thankful to KWWL and its entire staff for the help that they have given us with this. So thank you very much for that. I also do want to acknowledge that, you know, as it was announced today, our condolences to all the families who have lost a loved one. When you talk 700 people, there are small Iowa towns that represent that, so that has to be acknowledged, really, as we do any part of recovery.
Yeah, it's really an incredibly high number, I think. I really do. So let's talk about, you've done a lot of great things here in this short term. Now you're kind of looking to the long term to how to help people, right?
That is correct. Having worked through several disasters and, you know, as a community organization that does that, you know, we begin very much with that short term, you know, quick and basic needs, have to get it done, but then it does move to a long-term process where you have people that still need those basic needs, but now, you know, they're getting back to work, they need childcare. They have developed perhaps some addictions along the way. They have mental health issues that are popping up for both their children and them. And so at the end of the day, there's all these other things that get compounded, and you have to still fund them. So that's kind of where we're heading at this point.
Now, people always say, is my money going to a great cause? And it's education, health, and financial stability. Talk a little bit about that.
Those are the very staples as we basically, as I say, build the community programming and build the community. You need to have those things in a good place to have great human resources.
Personally, why now? Why do we need it now during this pandemic? This is a tough time for nonprofits. Yeah.
It's very tough. As I was on the group that was part of that larger collaborative that we did 50,000 as part of another, and there had to be so much movement of services, be it, you know, before they would come to the office, now they don't, and so the funding has kind of fallen out, and yet they still need to provide a great deal of services. So why now? More important than ever, just like in any disaster.
All right, Sheila Barrett is the president of the Cedar Valley United Way. Great to have you on. It was a privilege to be one of your co-chairs a few years back. It was quite an experience. You did a fantastic job. And boy, the need now is greater than ever. Let's go back to Abby to talk more about that.
It certainly is, Ron. Thank you. And this is all while your donation is so important. Everything you've heard from our guests tonight. And our day of giving is not over. Please continue to help fight for Iowans. Go to our website. You can click on the We Fight for Iowans tab to donate. You can also text We Fight to 91999. And also you can donate to the United Way in your area. Thank you very much for joining us for this KWWL special. And we will be joining you, of course, again tonight at 10 o'clock.